The world, you may be one person, but to over a trillion microorganisms, you are literally their world. There are trillions of bacteria, viruses, and fungi living in and on our bodies every day, and they are introduced to us by our mothers when born and reinforced with breast milk and formula. The microbiota helps establish our immune system, and unfortunately, antibiotics can wipe out our natural defenses by not discriminating between beneficial bacteria and pathogenic. However, when we have an imbalance, we are more prone to immune responses causing pathological conditions like obesity, diabetes, atopy, and IBS and IBD. Our intestines work overtime maintaining homeostasis and warding off potential pathogens. The organisms in our gut have to be able to adapt to survive the harsh environment. The intestines are full of different forms of bacteroids. If a pathogen is detected, these cells produce a signal to create inflammation, leading to the hyperphagia of the undesired organisms. However, when some organisms do get through, one can find themselves with a disease like dysentery. And if you've ever played the Oregon Trail, you know the severity of that. A specific bacteria within the intestine is Bacteroides aviatus. It is anaerobic and digests monosaccharides, disaccharides, polysaccharides, and polymers, making it nutrient efficient and versatile. Lastly, it can withstand the extreme conditions of the intestinal environment so that it can consume high amounts of dietary sources. Thank you.
Microbes and me. Human microbiota are tiny microorganisms in the body, um, and they consist of 5 groups: skin, nose, mouth, vagina, and the gut. Each group has their own beneficial factors. There are also negative factors. For example, if the body goes into microbiota dysbiosis, it can cause serious health problems. Our microbiota starts the moment we are born and helps maintain our overall health. It can change depending on our body and lifestyle changes. The gut has 3 different abiotic factors consisting of pH, ITT, and stool consistency. ITT has the bigger role of the factors. It also has different bacterial communities, for example, phyla, which are firmicutes, and bacteroidetes. It also interacts with both microorganisms and host cells and has negative impacts from imbalance. For example, it can impact the gastrointestinal conditions. It's one of the 2 dominant microbial phylums. It is a gram-positive bacteria with low G plus C, and it controls microorganisms in the gut. Many being bacteria, it produces resistant endospores and pyruvate. Even though it has positive aspects, they are considered bad microorganisms. They have 7 phalange and 3 relatives.
My name is Taylor. I'd like to invite you to a party with 39 trillion of your closest friends, the bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and viruses that make up 90% of your cells. So these microbiota are in all over our bodies and in many of the systems in our bodies. They benefit us in many ways, including immune system regulation and food digestion being two of the main benefits. And they are influenced by age, genetics, diet, environment, lifestyle, and medicine we take. Imbalances are associated with decreased immune function, metabolic disorders, and increased susceptibility to infections and diseases. Our nasal microbiome specifically is unique in that it's constantly in contact with the external environment, with air moving through the passageways, and it can be an easy portal for many pathogens. It's full of a wide variety of resident microbiota. Some are pictured in this image. Other unique factors of the nasal microbiome are that airflow and seasonal and climate-related factors can influence the microbiome there. Smoking and other lifestyle factors can influence it, and a healthy nasal microbiome is associated with lower rates of sinus infections and allergies. Corynebacterium is one of the bacteria in your nasal microbiome. It is a small aerobic and gram-positive bacteria. That's a natural part of your resident microbiota in your nose. It's found to shift Staphylococcus aureus into a more commensal state. That one is an opportunistic pathogen. And Corynebacterium also is associated with decreased risk of pneumonia colonization and in the nose. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is a presentation for microbiology. It's going to be homework 1. I'm going to be talking about the human microbiota and the gut. So the human microbiota is a complex mixture of organisms. These microorganisms are found in almost every part of the human body. Microbiota can be beneficial, such as helping the immune system defend against pathogenic bacteria, or harmful, such as causing food poisoning that is often caused by one's diet. The presence and disruptions of the microbiota have been linked to many pros and cons. For example, it can cause diseases and affect health conditions with things like enteropathogen-induced disorders, inflammatory bowel disease, or to colorectal cancer. Although these are some of the cons of the microbiota, it also has its pros. For example, it provides numerous physiological functions to its host, including the production of bioactive metabolites and essential nutrients, protection against pathogen infection through colonization resistance, maintenance of the mucosal barrier, and regulation of the immune system, communication with the central nervous system, and involvement in energy regulation. The stomach is a very complex ecosystem. The microbes have co-evolved with their host to maintain homeostasis, but it can also be disrupted by external forces. And some of the abiotic factors of the stomach include the pH levels and the temperature. And if one were to mess up these conditions, the health of the host is at risk. We'll be talking about Prevotella today, and it's a eukaryotic microbe that lives in the stomach, and it has large genome and metabolically produces multiple products, including vitamins, amino acids, digestion, and stuff like that. And it can process complex molecules such as cellulose, hemicellulose, and pectin. And yeah.
Hello, my name is Maham, and I'll talk about microorganisms on the human body. So microorganisms are all around us, and they are not always bad. They can have beneficial or no effect to the host. Microbiota refers to microbes at a particular site. Microbiota are all over the human body, but are mostly found in the gut. Gut microbiota helps maintain gut flora and nutrient metabolism. Some factors that cause variation in normal gut microbiota are age, diet, and antibiotics. Age and diet tend to influence the gut microbiota by diversifying microbes with increasing age. Antibiotics can reduce microbes' diversity by disrupting microbial balance usually seen in the gut. The lungs also have diverse microbiota, but not as dense as the gut. Because of fluid-filled sacs in the lungs, this is a great environment for microbes. The microbiota of lungs are determined by microbial immigration and elimination. Microbial immigration is the addition of microbes into an organ system, and elimination is the interaction between microbes and host during immune defense. Once there is an imbalance of normal microbiota, this is called dysbiosis. Lung dysbiosis has been linked to many chronic lung disease. Bacteria called Haemophilus influenzae is a small gram-negative bacteria from the family Pasteurelliaceae and are classified based on capsules. A key characteristic of this bacteria is that it has a specific metabolism called respiration-assisted fermentation that essentially alleviate redox imbalance caused by incomplete glucose oxidation. This bacteria also has virulence factors that allow bacteria to remain in the host. The most common type of H. influenzae that infects susceptible individuals is called H. influenza type B. Once the host has been compromised, pathogens can spread and cause respiratory disease like pneumonia, asthma, or other respiratory disease. It is clear to see how microbes all over our body play different roles in keeping us healthy or cause disease. Thanks.
Microbes and me, the human microbiota. We live in a world surrounded by microbes. Microbes are everywhere. Biologists nowadays consider that bacteria that populate our bodies could be regarded as a complete organ, weighing about 4.5 pounds total. But to understand microbiota, we should first know where it comes from. Microbiota is acquired at birth. When a baby is passing through the birth canal, it is exposed to hundreds of bacteria. This crucial contact triggers the development of our immune system. This contact ensures the production of lymphocytes, an essential cell that controls or counterbalances microbial activity within our bodies through our lives. It is considered that only 1% of the bacteria we carry is harmful. Reason why the medical community nowadays advise against the indiscriminate use of antibiotics, since antibiotics not only target bad bacteria but also could affect the good bacteria that we have in our bodies and cause imbalances that will lead to health issues. Our intestines are one of the most populated areas with bacteria within our body, since our intestines provide favorable conditions for bacteria to thrive. A series of abiotic factors such as intestinal transit time, pH, and stool composition help determine the microbial composition of our gut. There are about 160 species or more present in our intestines. Among the most noticeable families we could find the Firmicutes, which include bacteria such as Lactobacillus and Clostridium. Among other families, we could also find Bacteroidetes, Prevotella, and Actinobacteria. I'm going to focus my presentation on Clostridium. Clostridium is a bacteria that lives in the gut of some people. It's a gram-negative spore-forming bacteria that could be considered aerotolerant, meaning it could function with or without oxygen, but prefer no oxygen environments to thrive. Belongs to the family of Firmicutes, as I mentioned before, and it could be considered an opportunistic bacteria, since it takes advantage of bacterial imbalances within our intestines and overpopulate, wreaking havoc on the host, causing severe diarrhea that could lead to intestinal perforation and death. This is normally secondary to the use of antibiotics or when it's acquired from a sick person. It's an easily transmissible bacteria due to the nature of the spores that form and can live for long periods of time over inanimated surfaces. This bacteria could be lethal, which makes it extremely dangerous for human health.
The human microbiota. Every individual has a microbiota that is made up of trillions of microbes. First studies began when Antoine van Leeuwenhoek studied microbes from his mouth and feces. There are a number of environmental factors that play a role in the type of microbial communities that inhabit each area of the body. For example, infants who are delivered vaginally have a microbiota that is similar to their mother's vagina, and infants who are delivered by C-section have a microbiota that's similar to their mother's skin. The human microbiota is constantly changing as we interact with various environments. The gastrointestinal tract. As an infant goes through the first few years of their life, the microbiota of their gut begins to transform and look like that of an adult's gut microbiota. This happens as the baby's diet changes from breast milk to solid food. The food we consume contributes to the types of microbes that make up our microbiota, and the changes in our microbiota allow us to digest different things that our body cannot break down on its own. Eventually, the microbiota becomes stable, but external influences such as antibiotics can change up the microbes. We'll look into E. coli, which is one of the most well-known bacteria and is often used in laboratories. E. coli was first isolated and identified in 1885 by Theodore Escherick from infant feces. E. coli is a gram-negative, bacillus-shaped facultative anaerobe. It's usually non-pathogenic, but there are some strains that are pathogenic, like the enterotoxigenic E. coli, which causes acute diarrheal disease and is most common in children under 5. This disease is ranked second in morbidity and mortality in this demographic. And this pathogenic E. coli is found in water that has been contaminated with fecal matter and is usually in regions where there's lack of water sanitation, hygiene, and lack of water supply. Though E. coli is naturally found in the healthy gut of a human, substances we consume, such as antibiotics or uncooked food, also contribute to the colonization. Exposure to various environments allow more strains of E. coli to enter the microbiome, which contributes to the highly diverse microbiome of the human gut.
Microbes are involved in numerous beneficial functions throughout the body. They've been shown to assist the body in effectively absorbing nutrients from their food. However, such things as antibiotics and antiseptics can have a harmful effect on the microbes of the microbiome of the body. Antibiotics have been shown to can be able to change the microbiome of the gut anywhere from 12 weeks to up to 2 years after administration in a healthy adult. And changes in the microbiome have been linked to obesity, diabetes, and asthma. So there's a constant balancing act occurring. The human skin is generally dry, acidic, and nutrient poor and an arid environment, making it a poor choice for many microbes. However, there's a diverse number of microenvironments on the skin. Those microbes that prefer a moist environment versus those that prefer an oily environment can both find homes on the human skin. Oily sections of the skin, such as the forehead, allow the growth of Propionibacterium, or P. acne. P. acne relies on the heavy production of fats within sebaceous glands on the skin to obtain the nutrients that they survive, as well as anchor themselves into those glands. There's been shown to be both a synergistic as well as antagonistic relationship between P. acne and the human body. The production of free fatty acids by P. acne has been shown to have some antibacterial activity. However, they are also associated with the development of skin acne. Skin acne has also been linked to individuals who take supplemental B12 vitamins, which can cause P. acne to produce certain molecules that can cause inflammation leading to that disease.
The Human Microbiota by Ezra King. Microbiota in the human body. Humans host about 3 trillion microorganisms. The microbes in the human body help to digest food, regulate the immune system, fight as the immune system, provide nutrients that support hemostasis, and a lot more. We find microbes on our skin, digestive tract, upper respiratory tract, urethra, and genitals. Microbiota are harmless for the most part, but in some cases, microbes can become dangerous for us. A microbe that may be harmless in one region of the body can cause infection in another. Normally, the body would be able to combat these microbes and help them to pose no threat. However, a suppression of the immune system enables opportunistic pathogens to become harmful because the body has less of a capability to fight these microbes. Also, a change in the abundance of normal microbiota poses a problem due to pathogens having less to combat. Lastly, stress makes the body weaker and affects the hormonal system of the body and ultimately disrupts the normal microbiota. Specific body ecosystem. Oral cavity provides optimal living conditions for bacteria due to warm temperature and humidity. Oral microbiota contain over 6 billion microbes in the mouth alone, which include species of bacteria, archaea, fungi, protozoa, and viruses. The matrix contains extracellular polymeric substances that house microbes that are both helpful and harmful bacteria reside together. Just like it was mentioned above, the microbes that are good for humans keep the bad ones in check. Oral microbiota can prevent infections and fight pathogens. Oral microbiota interact with the host on a macroscopic level, so this can be examined through bad breath or tooth decay. Oral microbiota can live together almost like fish in a coral reef, and when threats do come, they often fight the pathogens. Specific microorganisms, Streptococcus sobrinus. Streptococcus sobrinus is a gram-positive anaerobic member of the genus Streptococcus. It was originally discovered by Louis Pasteur in 1887. Within the oral cavity, biofilm forms from a mixture of sugar and plaque. And under the right conditions, lactic acid is released through the anaerobic processes. Conditions include good humidity, warm temperatures, and a buildup of plaque and biofilm in order for the bacteria to feed and thrive. Lactic acid demineralizes tooth enamel, inducing tooth decay. Thank you.
Hello, class. So this is my summary for homework number 1. Humans are a complex multicellular eukaryotes that are made up of trillions of microbial symbiotics and their genomes. Microbiota, also known as the microbe, also consists of pathogens, and these pathogens coincide with bacteria without a problem. Microbiota provide many benefits, for example, like our digestive system, immune system, the metabolic rate, and even our mood. Modern medicine provides antibiotics that impact the microbiota. And an imbalance of these pathogens can also lead to even inflammation, irritation, and even disease. So many of these microorganisms which live in the mouth symbiotically provide the perfect home for the bacterium, which help humans break down sugars and carbohydrates inside their mouth to their digestive system. According to my research, around 20 to 30 diverse species were found at the specific site inside of our mouths. And just to think about it, that's a lot of different species which just live inside our mouths. That's not including our entire body. Many microbiota thrive in the oral cavity. For example, one would be the Streptococcus mutane. This comes from the family of Streptococci, which is a strong bacteria that can withstand acid production, capable of forming a biofilm on the teeth. And this biofilm can even withstand low pH environments. This chemical reaction that is produced when this bacteria metabolizes sugar and carbohydrates, it produces lactic acid, just like in our muscles. But it's not that acidic, but it is enough to break down tooth enamel, ultimately causing cavities in our teeth. These complex eukaryotic organisms affect our overall health in a positive and also a negative way. We could not live without these microorganisms, and they would also not coexist without a live host. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a good night.
I'm going to be talking about the human microbiota and more specifically the microbiota of the gut. So microbiota is a group of microorganisms that live together in an environment. In this case, that environment is our bodies. And examples of these microorganisms include bacteria, fungi, archaea, viruses, and protozoa. And so this little picture here just shows the different areas in which we have microbiota. And we have trillions of microorganisms in our body. We have more microorganisms than we do cells. So here I've just listed a few of the many functions our microbiota has. So stimulating immune function, absorbing and synthesizing vitamins and nutrients. So yeah, the microbiota is very vital to our overall health, which is why it's important that we take care of it. And we take care of it by avoiding things like antibiotics, overusing them and misusing them because it kills both the good and the bad bacteria, and then maintaining a healthy diet that supports our gut. And so the gut is very dense and it has more microorganisms than any other microbiota in our bodies, and that's because it's an optimal environment. It's very moist and acidic, and bacteria thrives in that moisture and grows rapidly. So Clostridium difficile, more commonly known as C. diff, is an anaerobic gram-positive bacteria that produces endospores. And so as we can see here, these vegetative cells are in a bacillus-shaped, and within them are these endospores. And so we already naturally have a small amount of C. diff in our bodies, but under extreme stress, usually caused by antibiotics, it can overproduce, or there'll be an overgrowth of C. diff, which is where the trouble comes in, because overgrowth of C. diff causes diarrhea and inflammation of the colon, and yeah, it's not a good scene. So another thing about C. diff is that it spreads pretty easily, and that's because those endospores that spread have these really hard outer shells that make them able to survive really harsh environments, unlike those vegetative cells, and that makes it very hard to treat C. diff. So yeah, that is C. diff.
Microorganisms are found everywhere around us and also inside of us.
They're unseen to the naked eye, but the body actually houses trillions of microorganisms, many of which have a symbiotic relationship with us. Symbiotic bacteria metabolize indigestible compounds and aid in digestion. They supply essential nutrients, protect our body against pathogens, and contribute to the formation of intestinal structure. Probiotics, antibiotics, and even lifestyle factors such as your everyday diet may impact the human microbiota. One important microbial community found in the body would be in the oral cavity. It's a moist cavity that contains lots of nutrients for both good and bad bacteria. The mouth houses over 700 different microbial species found on and between teeth, gums, and the tongue. Dental biofilm is the dental plaque found on the surfaces of teeth caused by oral bacteria colonizing there. Bacteria found on these biofilms can produce acid and cause cavities. A diet that's high in sugary foods or beverages can cause acidification and disrupt the enamel of the teeth, which increases the chance of having a cavity. Besides sugar, though, bad oral hygiene can bring a microbial community to dysbiosis. One of the microorganisms found within the oral microbiota and is a primary colonizer of oral surfaces would be Actinomyces. They're bacillus bacteria that are part of the normal flora of the mouth. One particular species, Actinomyces aureus, contributes to the formation of significant biofilm growth and can cause cavities. Actinomyces can also become opportunistic pathogens of the respiratory, GI tracts, urinary, and female genital tracts. Though by maintaining good oral hygiene, it can reduce the risk of infection by the Actinomyces bacteria. So, although microbes are small, they can have large impact on the body. Thank you.
Hello, this is Juan, and this is Microbes and Me for homework assignment 1. What is the human microbiota? So, microbes, they're everywhere. Try to name a spot on your body, they're probably already there. Can't stop, they're just there. It consists of mainly harmless bacteria, but they can also even help us. All right, example of this would be the intestinal microbiota, as they can help with digestion, and they can even provide nutrients and even make vitamins, such as vitamin K, I think. Yeah, vitamin K. All right, so a good way to maintain the microbiota or impact it is by taking probiotics. So a good way to get those is just by eating yogurt, buttermilk. Never tried buttermilk, so I don't know if it tastes good or not. So negative impacts mainly only occur if the diversity is low. So if you have like abundance of a certain amount, and the others are just very small, it could lead to obesity, diabetes. So very bad. Don't do that. All right, the skin microbiota. It is Goldblade's first line of defense against harmful bacteria. Its environment is dry, nutrient poor, and also is getting hit by UV lights and like changing temperatures. So bad place. Don't go there. But think of it like a castle, right? And with a castle, it can't be a top line defense without microbes. So that's soldiers. So that's where the microbes come in. And they come in and they go, I beat you up. So, example of a microbe that protects the line is Staphylococcus epidermidis. I think that's what it's called. All right, good guy. He prevents bacteria from entering the tiny junctions between the skin cells. So basically, think of the castle. All right, a bunch of people came in through like a hole in the wall. So what they do is they block up those holes. It's not let them in. Imbalances in certain microbes on the skin could lead to conditions such as acne. We talk about acne. We talk about Cutibacterium acnes. It's a gram-positive bacterium, commensal, aerotolerant, and anaerobic. Lives mainly in the fat cell of the sebum. It acts like a barrier for the skin because by using oil substance from the subcutaneous glands. So to prevent those little pathogens from building up on the skin. But also, if there's abundance of this, it can actually cause acne because it prevents the pores, I think. All right, that's it from me, I think.
This is a presentation on the microbes in me. We live in a world full of microbes whether we can see them or not. Microbes are the smallest living organisms and even live inside our body. The bacteria in the microbe is what helps to digest our food, protects you against other bacteria that may cause diseases, and regulate our immune system. Even with a strong body, antibiotics may have long-term and short-term effects in the ecology of the normal gut microbiota. Antibiotics can cure many bacterial imbalances, but can also cause imbalances if not taken correctly. The misuse of antibiotics can cause antibiotic-resistant strains, which has a negative impact on a person's because it reduces the microbial diversity, which can cause a person to be more susceptible to diseases. Depending on a person's life cycle, the microbiota can help them to keep them healthy. For example, a person's diet. A good diet affects our gut health. The imbalance in gut microbiomes can increase the risk of diseases, and gut microbes produce a large amount of bioactive compounds like vitamins, which are beneficial to the body. Keeping a well, diverse, and balanced population of bacteria in the gut helps it to stay healthy. Cyanobacteria is an oxygenetic photosynthetic that can be found in all types of water and plays an important role in the nitrogen cycle, as well as in the cycles of oxygen and carbon. Cyanobacteria can produce toxins and cause people to be sick. If it gets in the human body, it can cause gastrointestinitis and gut distress. Gastrointestinitis associated with cyanobacteria may be a major contributor to malnutrition and lesser quality of life if affected regions and the impact of biodirectional relationship between microbes and the host.
This will discuss the gut microbiome and a specific bacteria in the gut called bifidobacteria. First, the microbiome is a collection of microbes that live in and on the human body. Colonization of these microbes begins at birth, and as many as half of the cells in the human body may consist of these microbial cells. They are mostly helpful. There generally is a symbiotic relationship between human cells and cells of the microbiome, but imbalances can occur, which can lead to disease. The gut microbiome is mostly bacteria. The environment in the gut is mostly dark, moist, and full of nutrients, which is great for growing certain bacteria. And the gut microbiome is mostly established by age 6, but can change over the lifetime due to food and medication. Functions of the gut microbiome is to break down food and toxins, make vitamins, and crowd out harmful bacteria. The bifidobacterium are gram-positive, non-motile, and anaerobic. And functions of these bacteria is to lower the risk of colon cancer, irritable bowel syndrome, and constipation. And as a result of these bacteria being so beneficial, they are frequently added to functional foods in order to support the health of the gut.
This is my homework 1 presentation, and today I'm going to be talking about the human microbiota. So, as we know, microbes, microorganisms, however you like to call it, are ubiquitous. They're everywhere, they're all around the world, and that means they're also all over our bodies as well, and inside of our bodies. These microorganisms are beneficial actually, and can be detrimental to you as well, but they help you do basic functions, and they inhabit very, essential cavities in your body, such as your skin, your gut, your mouth, etc. So today, I'm going to be talking about the oral microbiome. There are many benefits with having all these bacteria in your mouth. They will help you produce saliva, which will help fight cavities and basically rinse off all the biofilm in your teeth. And they will help you with mastication and digestion. However, too much of some certain bacteria can lead to very negative health benefits, such as plaque and other diseases such as gingivitis, periodontitis, and strep throat. And today, the specific microorganism I will be talking about is Porphyromonas gingivalis, and it's a rod-shaped bacteria that sticks to gums very well and will cause a disease known as periodontitis, which I mentioned earlier. This disease can lead to very severe gum infections, and it can cause really bad health complications such as tooth loss, and it even is researched that it leads to Alzheimer's as well. Thank you for listening.
The human microbiota is extremely complex. It can range from bacteria, viruses, fungi, and protozoa. All these microbiotas help us digest our food, regulate our immune system, produce the vitamins such as B12 and K, and metabolize xenobiotic materials, among other things. In the intestines, there are a wide range of microbes that help regulate it so it can help with digestion and help regulate pathogens, as well as help stabilize the ecosystem, as well as fight infections such as Salmonella, E. coli, and C. diff. The intestinal system is extremely complex. There are roughly 100 trillion microbial cells in the intestinal system. These microbes must keep a constant balance to ensure it can digest food properly, fight infection, replenish the good bacteria it loses, and ensure the ecosystem stays balanced as a whole. Proper diet, exercise, and taking vitamins can help keep your gut microbiome balanced. While these methods can help, taking pre- and probiotics can help your overall gut health as well. One of the specific microorganisms in the gut that is vital to the overall health of the ecosystem are bacteroidetes. They help digest carbohydrates through a series of metabolic pathways. The primary role of bacteroidetes are to protect the gut from pathogens and supply nutrients to other microbial units in the gut overall. They are anaerobic, bioresistant, non-spore forming, gram-negative rods.
Hi, my name's Hillary, and this is my report on microbes in me. Welcome to the world of the human microbiota, where tiny organisms play a significant role in our overall health and well-being. These organisms are invisible to the naked eye, and they affect our mental state, mood, and susceptibility to disease. Human microbiotas are found on and in the human body and consist of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and archaea. They play a vital role in maintaining human health by regulating metabolism, protecting against infection, and training the immune system. It is important to note that the human microbiota is unique to everyone and can be influenced by a variety of factors, including diet, lifestyle, medication, and environment. An imbalance of microbiota, known as dysbiosis, has been linked to a few health conditions, including obesity, diabetes, and inflammatory bowel, such as Crohn's disease. However, it is also possible to improve the health of the microbiota with probiotics and prebiotics, as well as maintaining a healthy diet and lifestyle. Gut microbiome is complicated ecosystem composed of hundreds of microorganisms within the digestive tract, consisting of many different bacterial species, with firmicutes and bacteroidetes being the most prevalent. These microbes play such an important role in digestion, production of vitamins, nutrient absorption, and protection against pathogens. A study by Lee Jr. aimed to understand the role of the gut microbiome in obesity and metabolic disease. It found that individuals who were overweight had different gut microbiome composition compared to lean individuals. In conclusion, the gut microbiome is a complex ecosystem that is essential for maintaining overall health and well-being. It is constantly changing, and the diversity and composition of the gut microbiome are influenced by many factors. The gatekeeper of mucosa. Akkermansia muciniphila, a gram-negative bacteria found in the human gut microbiome, is known for its ability to degrade mucin, a glycoprotein that forms a protective layer on the gut's epithelial cells. Studies have shown that it plays a crucial role in maintaining gut health. Individuals with obesity, type 2 diabetes, and metabolic disorders tend to have a lower level of A. muciniphila in their gut microbiome compared to healthy individuals. This suggests that increasing the level of A. muciniphila in the gut could be a potential target for the treatment of obesity and related metabolic disorders, as well as other gut-related diseases such as inflammatory bowel disease. Research suggests that A. muciniphila also has anti-inflammatory properties, which may contribute to its role in maintaining gut health. To conclude, the human microbiota, which includes microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, and archaea found on and in the human body, plays a huge role in maintaining overall health and well-being. Thank you for listening.
Hello, and welcome to my presentation on an overview of human microbiota. I will be your guide today to walk you through some key concepts and ideas surrounding our body's microbiome. The human microbiota is made up of trillions of microbes that live in and outside of our bodies. Every square centimeter of our skin may have millions of microbes. These microbes that colonize our body without normally causing disease make up our body's microbiome. These species play a vital role in maintaining our overall health and immune system, and some can cause severe disease. Our microbiota is dictated by our genetics, our diet, and where we live. Some microbes have commensal relationships with our body, the host, which provide protection against colonization of pathogens. Symbiotic relationships can exist between us and our microbes, both finding mutual benefit from each other. For example, many of the microbes that live in our digestive tract aid in nutrient absorption and provide us with unique nutrients. Lastly, there are pathogenic microbes that can enter our bodies from the outside environment. Typically, the healthier our commensal and symbiotic microbiota, the less likely a transient microbe will find a home inside of our bodies. In effect, maintaining a good diet while providing a healthy and hygienic surrounding for you to live in can go a long way to preventing disease. Now let's focus on microbe interactions in our nasal cavity. This area of our body has a unique setting in that it has a constant contact with the outside environment. The nostrils possess a warm, moist, and mucus-lined environment. In addition, there is almost constant airflow in the nasal cavity with hair follicles and sebaceous glands. Picture it like a kelp forest with close to the shore, washing back and forth with the tide. Interestingly enough, in most adults, 2 to 10 species make up 90% of a human's nasal microbiota, leading to the conclusion that there is only so much space for a diverse amount of microbes in there. In this environment, you may see microbes with names such as Streptococcus, Haemophilus, Corynebacterium, and Fusobacterium. Lastly, let's focus on a specific microbe called Corynebacterium diphtheriae, the bacteria that causes diphtheria. Corynebacteria are small, generally non-motile, gram-positive, non-sporulating, slightly club-shaped bacillus, like you see in this picture here. Due to their cell shape, cells often lie in clusters resembling Chinese letters. Corynebacteria are aerobic or anaerobic, and they exhibit fermentative metabolism under certain conditions. They are fastidious organisms, growing slowly on even an enriched medium. They find their home in mucous membranes of the upper respiratory tract.
The human microbiome is a collection of all the microbes that live in and on the human body. The microbiome is essential for healthy human functions. As you can see here, microbes participate in food digestion, immune regulation, and protection from pathogens and vitamin synthesis, among other processes. Since microbiotes and humans have evolved symbiotically, a disruption in the microbiome can have grave health effects. The gut in particular is a complex ecosystem including trillions of bacteria, yeast, and viruses. Bacteria, like we see here, constitute over 90% of the whole gut microbiome. In the gut, each microbe performs its role and works with and among other microbes to perform those specific roles. If any microbiota community were to be out of sync, it would throw off the whole ecosystem. Faecobacterium prawnitsky, or F. prau for short, is a healthy bacteria of the gut, and it constitutes about 5% of all the bacteria in the intestines. F. prau is a rod-shaped bacillus, strict anaerobic gram-positive bacteria that has evolved to have a symbiotic relationship with humans. F. prau uses fermentation to produce ATP. In the gut, it breaks down otherwise insoluble dietary fiber and produces butyrate. This bacteria has been shown to have anti-inflammatory properties in the colon, and studies have shown that people with lower than typical levels of F. prau have shown higher rates of things like Crohn's disease, obesity, and insulin resistance. A diet high in processed sugar and low in fiber, as well as medications like antibiotics and laxatives, have shown to decrease F. prau colonies, which can lead to inflammation and disease. Currently, there are a number of studies being done on how to deliver F. prau to the gut effectively as a therapy for intestinal and metabolic disorders such as obesity and insulin resistance. Thank you.
Microbes and me. The microbiome. Our bodies are covered head to toe in different sorts of bacteria. We most commonly will note the gastrointestinal system. However, this applies to all parts of our body. The microbiome plays an active role in our overall health and well-being, and this includes our mental health. What we are colonized with varies person to person and is dependent on the environmental exposures we encounter over the course of our life. The upper respiratory tract, most specifically the nasal cavity, is the region I will be focusing on. It is responsible for the primary filtering of pathogens and debris as we inhale oxygen into our lungs. The environment itself is warm, humid, and slightly acidic, and it is also full of mucus. When there's dysbiosis within the nasal cavity, it results in upper respiratory infections, and chronic or continuous and repeated infections of the upper respiratory system can lead to chronic inflammatory diseases. What we can find colonizing the nasal cavity would be pathobionts. They are commensal bacterial species, however, they can cause disease in healthy individuals when given the chance. These pathobionts are regulated by beneficial bacteria within the nasal cavity. Lactobacillus is one of those genuses that is beneficial. It serves as an antimicrobial and a probiotic within the nasal cavity. While we oftentimes will find lactobacillus species within the gastrointestinal and reproductive tracts, they have been shown to be particularly beneficial within the nasal cavity, primarily acting as an antimicrobial through the formation of lactic acid via fermentation, which inhibits the growth of pathobionts in higher amounts. It also has been shown to be a probiotic. It supports respiratory health as one. In order to be classified as a probiotic, not only do you have to be beneficial to the host, but you have to have certain adaptive properties to survive within a specific environment. And that is shown via lactobacillus being typically anaerobic species, however, developing aero tolerance to live within the aerobic environment. Also, the nasal cavity itself can be at a lower temperature than what you might find in other parts of the body. Additionally, the pH of the nasal cavity is higher, making it less acidic than what you would find within the GI and reproductive tracts. That is typical for lactobacillus.